I'm David Blunkett. I'm a member of the United Kingdom Parliament, and I was 8 years in Tony Blair's cabinet, and it's my great pleasure today to be able to introduce Sir Richard Branson, who's in conversation with me about, well, all sorts of things, but education, entrepreneurship, enterprise. Thank you very much indeed for joining me, and I'm very pleased to be able to introduce you to the London School for Business and Finance, because they are entrepreneurs per excellence, and I want to just explore a little bit about what they're doing and what you think should be the role of higher education and entrepreneurship in the modern era. They've just received, actually, in 2013, the Queen's Award for Enterprise, so we're celebrating that at the moment. And I'm interested in exploring with you just how you think universities, higher education can contribute to stimulating enterprise and creativity.
Universities definitely are very important if you're learning science. They're definitely very important if you're learning, technology. If you want to be a mathematician, they play a big role. And the real question is, can they teach people entrepreneurship, or is it better that people actually get out into the real world and learn by throwing themselves in the jungle and by the experience? And we've actually encouraged this government to actually come up with entrepreneurial grants rather than just student grants for people who've got good business ideas, and say let them get out into the real world and try it. Having said that, I think there is room for really good universities to help people get on their feet who want to become entrepreneurs, and they play a very important role, in particular for those people who won't necessarily succeed at becoming an entrepreneur, so that they've got a good university education to fall back on.
Because you need people who are good at finance, good at management, don't you? Good accountants. You need people contributing to helping keep the feet on the ground of the entrepreneurs.
Yeah, and there's only so many people who can actually, there's only so much room for entrepreneurs as such. So when you still need good universities to have excellent people who can work within entrepreneurial companies, but it is an interesting balancing act. I mean, I think for those people who are really entrepreneurially minded and have a good idea and have an idea that can make a positive difference to other people's lives, there is an argument to be said for those people. They should just get out into the real world and give it a go.
Well, the London School of Business and Finance have got 38,000 students over 150 countries, and a very large proportion, something like 12,000 of them, are working online as well as in a more traditional way. And I wondered whether it would be possible to think about linking the idea of giving someone their head as an entrepreneur, go for it like you did all those years ago, and at the same time provide them with online support and help from a university which is particularly concentrating on that kind of creativity.
I think it could be enormously helpful. I mean, I think mentors for entrepreneurs are lacking, and to actually have a university of mentors which people could actually tap into, I think would be absolutely invaluable. So if the university has got a program like that, I think that would be incredibly welcome.
Well, the London School are developing the idea of a school of entrepreneurship, and it may well be that they could experiment in the way you've just been describing. I mean, do you think that would be a runner?
Yes, I mean, I think it was interesting. When I was at school, I was developing a national magazine for young people, and the headmaster called me in one day and said, you can either run your magazine or you do your schoolwork. You can't do both, so you've got to decide whether you want to stay at the school or not. And I was 15 years old, and I said, thank you very much, but I'm going to leave the school and run my magazine. And I think that was a big mistake by the headmaster. And I think, I think what universities should be encouraging, and is for people to be starting their businesses within the university, rather than it being you're either just learning or you have to leave to start. I mean, when Larry Page came up with the idea of Google, he left university early to do it. When Steve Jobs came up with the idea of Apple, he had to leave university to do it. But I think what you ideally need to do is encourage these people to actually, or some of them anyway, to stay within the confines of the university and get help there.
Well, very prestigious universities are changing their MBA program, aren't they? Harvard's just changed theirs from the extraordinary reliance on historic case studies to getting people involved. I think they're competing with MIT across the Charles River. So we're beginning to get the more traditional prestigious organisations involved. The great advantage of the London School is that it's already very much geared up to online, open platform, that interactivity that you're describing. And I wondered if you felt that business might warm to that and actually therefore become almost partners in making that happen.
I mean, today we're in Oxford, and we brought a lot of young entrepreneurs down to meet successful business people, just to share ideas. And that's something which you can do with a small number of people. Through technology, we could be tapping into a lot of students in a university, and actually the time spent in giving advice or exchanging ideas could be far more useful. So so I think from Virgin's point of view, if it was helpful for the university to have us giving input in, we would be very interested in doing that. Often people overcomplicate what a business is. A business is simply creating something that's going to make a positive difference to other people's lives, and then it's up to you then to give it a go and just get out there and try it. As I say, screw it, just do it.
I'm very keen on people returning to learn when it's appropriate, and I just wondered if you felt that in future, obviously with people living longer, working longer, changing jobs, whether we ought to put more emphasis on people getting experience and then coming back into learning.
Yeah, no, I would love to have gone to university when I was 30 years old, after I'd already had a lot of experiences, and
I suspect we're not going to tempt you to do an MBA now, though, are we, Richard?
When I was 40, I said to my wife, I'm taking 2 years off to go to university, and she said, it's a midlife crisis, you're just after those young ladies at the university.
Can I ask you a broader question about where you think the big challenges are internationally in terms of business for the future? In other words, what you're looking to, what your next venture will be, and I don't expect you to tell me what it is, but what do you think the challenge is, given what's happened with the global meltdown, the austerity measures in the developed world? Where do you think we should be looking to for prosperity and enterprise in the future?
I think the opportunities in the clean energy sector are enormous. It's energy is what makes the world go round. We have a planet, that we are damaging, and we have resources like oil that are being depleted, and so I think imaginative approaches to trying to deal with clean energy would be something I would highly recommend.
And one last question, what message would you send to students today out there studying, thinking, wanting to succeed? What is your message to them?
Well, I think that there are many things in the world that are not perfect, and I think students can get out there and make this world a much better place. And if you're going to spend your life doing something, I mean, obviously, ideally, if you can spend it doing something, which is going to make a positive difference rather than a negative difference. So, if you've got a choice between, going to the coal industry or trying to set up a clean energy company, go for the clean energy company. And I think as much as we can together make businesses a force for good, so much the better.
So the link, the social responsibility linked to successful enterprise.
Yes, I mean, I think we're spending quite a lot of time now on something called the B team. The B team is trying to get every single business out there to work with government, to work with the social sector, and use our entrepreneurial skills to get out there and tackle some of the problems of the world. And I think because business people have got an entrepreneurial way of doing things, they can look at situations using their experiences and help governments and help social sector tackle things in a better way.
Well, I'm very grateful to you for sparing the time to talk to us. Sir Richard Branson, entrepreneur extraordinaire, thank you very much indeed for talking to us this afternoon.